Hey everybody, it's John the Comic Guy. So again, I just picked up this record collection really blindly for 150 bucks. So let's do the flip through together. I really have no idea what's in here. So let's see. Let's see what $150 will buy you here in South Jersey. Okay, Pat Boone, Roy Clark, one of the Wrecking Crew, Connie Francis. I don't know who this is. The guy advertised it as about 40% jazz, 40% rock, 20% country. I'm good with the rock and jazz. I think this is an empty dud. Bobby Vinton. All right, I feel records in there, thank God. Doug Kershaw. Oh, we had that the last time that I sold. Dottie and Don, Connie Francis, Connie, the man of music, dedicated. Oh, Nat King Cole, okay. Johnny Tillotson. Gary Lewis. It's Jerry Lewis's son, of course. Larry Steen concert. Jerry Butler, unfamiliar, but I'm going to take this out right now. Miles Davis. Look at that. Miles Davis. And the guy I bought this for, he was also a flipper, so he'll buy collections, sell them, add some of his own. Ronnie Millsap, Don Williams, Brenda Lee, Gary Lewis. Who would have thought Jerry Lewis' son was so prolific and crank out those kind of records, huh? Sonny James, unfamiliar. David Houston, Daybreak Express, Ronnie Millsap, Johnny Rodriguez, Tracy Nelson, okay. Charlie McLean, Tammy Wynette. Okay, so let's pray that that's the country box, perhaps. Besides the Miles Davis. Okay, next box: Austin, Kenton, Jimmy Rogers, Lee Greenwood, Patsy Cline, Blackwood Brothers, Country Fever. Okay, we're still hitting some country here. Let us pray. Earl Conley, Browns, music virtuosos. What that is. Symphony, jazz, Preservation Hall. We might have to. Krista, you and I might. Yeah, let's listen to some jazz. Jocks Coachman, The Platters, Great Pretender, My Prayer. Oh, maybe. That's jazz. All right, we got some jazz here. Herbie Mann live. Jazz Ultimate. Yeah, it's funny. I'll pull these. I'm not so sure we're gonna like that kind of jazz. Lewis and Friends, not familiar. I'm not gonna keep on pulling up. We'll do another sweep later to see what we'll keep. Drummer, Woody Herman, Superstar Guitar, Les McCann. Quincy Jones, Stan Kenton, Ray Anthony, Count Basie, okay, Count Basie, Lionel Poe Quartet, the Irish Rovers, Duke Ellington.
Yeah, an Allen one.
You think so? The Irish Rovers, huh? I think the Scottish Rovers, but maybe. Freddie Hart, but maybe. I offer him that.
Chris Christopherson.
Ronnie Millsap, Guido Porfieri, Don Williams. Seawind, Schubert Octet, Beethoven, Jeff, Doc Evans. I haven't heard a lot of these. Bob James. So this is, all right, unfortunately this is just a dud cover, but that was from, I can't remember that. Charlie McCoy, Basie meets Bond. That might be an interesting one. Count Basie playing some James Bond music. Jazz, Monterey. Sinatra. All right. Paul Winter. Soul Session. Grover Washington. John Clemmer. George Duke. I'm really not familiar with these guys. Booker T and Priscilla. Oh. Eddie. Treasury of Jazz. Jazz. Jones. Porgy and Bess. Benny Lane. Don Gibson. Original drum battle. All right. Different kind of blues. Bunch of bongos. Randy Bernstein. Trumpet. Dave The Unusual. Duke Ellington. Familiar. Jazz. Jeff Lorber. Richie Cole. Broadway. No idea what that is. Okay. Another Sinatra, Rolling Stones. All right, Rolling Stones' greatest hits, which I don't have. Rolling Stones. All right, we'll have to see that. We have most of these, but maybe I'll kind of marry the cover and better record. TRB2, Tom Robinson Band. Unfamiliar with that. Les McCann, Sandy Nelson, Frank Sinatra's greatest hits, concert. Power in the Darkness, Gene Pitney. All right, another Rolling Stones. All right, some decent Rolling Stones going on. All right, now that, Jimi Hendrix, that's a good one. Edgar Winter, of course. Hair. Joe Speaks. Devil's Angels. Look at that. Batman theme. That might have to be one we give a little listen to. Okay, clearly it's German. This be Marches of Germany. Fat Boys. It's getting me hungry. Almost. All right, Pirates. Oh, what is the Pirates? Skull Wars. That almost looks like metal, but unfamiliar. Jackson 5. John Cougar, Dave Clark, The Cars. God. I love The Cars, though we have 8 copies of that. So Charlie Daniels, that's an interesting one. Ups and Downs. Never heard of the Ups and Downs, but James Gang, Jeff Lorber, Dave Brubeck. Always like Dave Brubeck. Basie Bay, John Jones, The Eagles, Desperado. Not sure if we have that. The Grateful Dead. Can you ever go wrong with the Grateful Dead? That's good. So quadraphonic. The only quadraphonic we have is your dad's stereo downstairs. We don't have a turntable on that one. The Monkees Golden Hits. That looks terrible, but we have Greg Lake. Viewers, all right, so that's probably Prague. Sound more quadraphonic. Gary Lewis. Who's next? Led Zeppelin. I want to check that out. Big Red Music. Boomtown Rats. Okay, all right there. All right, this is the box so far I'm really liking. James Gang. Yellow Brick Road. I know we have a great copy of that, so that's Johnny Rivers. Thick as a Brick. That looks like quite a nice cover. have? Anything we might end up marrying that. Oh, do I see Jimi Hendrix there? Okay, hold on. Johnny Rivers, Bedrock Vice. Unfamiliar with that, but why does it look like 80s to me? I have to check that out. James Gang, Jimi Hendrix. Can't go wrong with Jimmy. T-Rex Fantasy. T-Rextasy. The best of T-Rex. That is something we're going to keep. Deep Ear. I don't know. With a cover like that, can you go wrong? I might have to check that out. The Kinks' Greatest Hits. The Progressives. American Beauty. Yeah, looks rough, but hey, it's the Grateful Dead. Elton John Milestones. Kick Axe. All right, that hair metal. Look, this box. Thank goodness we had that one last. All right, that one kind of saved the show. Okay, we have some records to go through. I think this was okay for 150. I will now show you the records that we're going to keep. So stay tuned. So what I'm going to do really quick now is go through a quick flip through of some of the records that I'm planning to keep. And the reason I say I'm planning is a lot of these titles I am not familiar with, and I want to spin them with Krista and see if we like them. So a lot of these are jazz or jazz fusion or a mixture of other genres. So let me turn the camera around and I will show you a quick flip through of stuff that I'm thinking of keeping. I've already spun clean them and I want to listen to each and every one of them to decide if I'm going to keep them or not. And then after that, I'll show you the absolute keepers. So the first one is Porgy and Bess from Oscar Peterson and Joe Pass. Got to give it a listen. Les McCann, Invitation to Openness. Tracy Nelson. Again, some of these I never heard of before. Woody Herman and Swinging Herd. Woody Live, East and West. This one looks cool. Different drummer. Ernie Isley. Again, I've never heard of that, but certainly looks cool. Little David's Fugue. A modern jazz ensemble. New music for virtuosos. Ahmad Jamal Trio at Pershing, but Not For Me is the title of that. Tony Mottola, Superstar Guitar. Always curious on cool guitars. Errol Gardner, Woody Herman, 1964. Woody Herman, My Kind of Broadway. Randy Bernstein, Paul Desmond, Jim Hall, Piercy Heath, and Connie Ray. That's jazz. Jazz Ultimate with Bobby Hackett and Jack Teagarden. A Different Kind of Blues, an album of jazz. Looks kind of cool. Love Jazz. Obviously, this collection had a decent amount of jazz. Rampart and Vine. It's quadraphonic. This is a kind of a mixed album. Jeff Lorber, Sandy Nelson, Let There Be Drums. Reverie in Concert. The Sound of Jazz. Herbie Mann Live at Newport. Soul Session. Jazz at Preservation Hall. Looks cool. Johnny Rivers. More Johnny Rivers. Grover Washington. I heard Grover Washington, but offhand, I can't remember how it sounds. Earl Klugh. Jazz at Monterey, 1958 and 80. This jazz series, Gato Barbieri. Basie meets Bond. I think that's going to be a good one. You know, Count Basie playing with his orchestra, James Bond music. Les McCann. The Platters. I think The Great Pretender. There's certain songs that I know. This might be a great golden hits album, a compilation. George Duke. More George Duke. Performed by the Broadway cast of Hair. That kind of looks cool. Pretty cool music in that show. This one is Booker T and Priscilla. So Booker T and Priscilla, Bob James, Heads, Bob James, H, The Best of James Gang, the James Gang Greatest Hits. They must have had a lot of greatest hits. I'll have to check it out. The Original Drum Battle. This one, I gotta believe, is awesome. Gene Krupa and Buddy Rich. The Original Drum Battle. Come on. Big Red Music. This is a compilation record. Boomtown Rats, Eddie Money, Phoebe Snow. And it happens to be in red vinyl, pressed red vinyl. I love it. Never heard of this. Stephen Tintin Duffy, The Ups and Downs. It looks like 80s music, right? Does it not? Want to give that a listen to. Paul Winter, Mel Lewis, Jeff Lorber, more Jeff Lorber fusion, but it has Chick Corea. That's got to be great. More Jeff Lorber fusion. Jeff Lorber fusion. Hoping that's the kind of jazz I'm really into. John Clemmer. Cactus World News. Never heard of them, but for some reason this looks like an 80s album that I might like. Deep Ear. I think Deep Ear is a compilation album. Yeah, it has a lot of different James Taylor, a lot of different artists, so I'm curious on that. The Light, Seawind. Thrashing Dubs. I'm wondering if that's going to be a little on the harder side, but we'll see. Skull Wars, the Pirates. Looks like Darth Vader on the cover, right? Skull Wars, the Pirates. And last but not least, out of the ones that I have no idea what to expect, the Fat Boys. I, for some reason, think in the 80s I heard of them, but these are the records that I really need to listen to because I don't know if I'm going to keep them. Okay, so now that you saw the records that I really have no idea about, but I am really curious, now these are the records that I know I want to keep for my collection. Some of them I have already copies of, but these are different pressings. Some I've never seen before, such as this one. Batman theme from Neil Heft. I am so happy about this. So this is the Batman theme and all of that. So really glad to get this. As you guys know, I'm also a comic book guy, so having the Batman theme, I think this is going to be a fun spin. So the first one that I'm absolutely keeping in my collection. The next one is the Jackson 5. Never saw this one before, Skywriter. So this is a new one to me. This looks like Michael Jackson as a team, so have no idea what kind of songs are on this, but I'm gonna keep that. Just, hey, Michael Jackson's talented. The Jacksons are talented. I'm gonna keep it. At least I'm planning to. The next is one of the few hard rock hair band albums that were in this collection. Kick-Axe. I listened to it. It's actually pressed on from the publisher was Pasha. So if you remember Pasha, they also did Quiet Riot. So once I saw that and I saw the hair on these guys, I knew it was going to be kind of a hair metal band, and not bad. I already had to listen to it because I couldn't resist, and not bad. Certainly it's going to warrant me keeping it for now. The next, who doesn't have copies of this, Jethro Tull, Thick as a Brick. This is clearly a newer pressing. When I say newer pressing, it was probably pressed in the 80s. The reason I know it's a newer pressing is because, you know, the newspaper view on the back in the classified ads, it's actually different from the 1970s pressing I have. So, again, in my mind, I actually like earlier pressings, but because I have that hoarding tendency, I'm going to keep this newer pressing too, and it's beautiful. I would say this is near mint vinyl, near mint cover. The older pressing I have is certainly not near mint. It's probably a VG minus, so it looks real. I mean, you could see it. This is basically brand new. Near mint. This is probably near mint plus. Certainly worth it keeping. The next I have not seen before. Elton John Milestones. What I like about this, and it's unique to me, is this is pressed by K-Tel. So this is a K-Tel record, which means some of these songs might be truncated. He wrote most of his songs to be played on the radio, so probably not. But again, this has Don't Go Breaking My Heart. This has a lot of great songs on here. I can't wait to listen to this, but the big thing is this is not from his normal record company. This is a K-Tel record. And I kind of like K-Tel records. So this is just a new record for me. I have to keep Sir Elton. The next I've had a couple of times. I've sold them when I had an opportunity to sell it. I got it again in this collection. It's a VG Plus near mint minus. The cover is probably just VG, but the Edgar Winter Group, of course, they only come out at night, which has the big hit Frankenstein on there. So looking forward to just keeping this.
I'll probably spin it just to make sure it doesn't have skips, and even if it does, I'll probably keep it. But for now, I'm going to put it back in my collection, and that's how I roll. Sometimes I'll get a record, I'll sell it. Sometimes I'll keep it. I noticed I did not have a copy of this album anymore, so I must have sold it with one of the dealers that wanted to buy Edgar Winter by name. Probably they asked for him, and I just said, if you're giving me an offer I can't refuse, I'm selling it. The next, T-Rex. This is the T-Rextasy, the best of T-Rex from 70 to 73. Listened to it last night. Obviously, Get It On is big, and 20th Century Boy. Those are the big hits that I remember. 20th Century Boy has such a great riff on there. So I'm going to keep this T-Rextasy, the best of T-Rex. Interesting story on that. I think it was 1977. He died in a car crash. He wasn't even driving. Is either one of his friends or his girlfriend or wife at the time, but the guy died. The next, Dave Brubeck, Gone with the Wind. As you probably saw earlier in this video when I was doing the quick flip through of the records that I'm experimenting with that I want to see if I'm going to keep, a lot of jazz. This was about 40% jazz, 40% rock or classic rock, and maybe 20% country, and all the country records are out in Z. I have no, I'm not much a big country guy, but jazz, Dave Brubeck, he is a master, and I do have a lot of Dave Brubeck albums already, but not this one. So I'm looking forward to listening to this, and I'm happy to own this. The next one, the next two, I have multiple copies, but again, right now, I had no need to sell these. The first is the best of the Grateful Dead, Skeletons in a Closet. These are just good, probably good plus. These are not in great condition, but I'm still keeping it. The other copy I have is probably in the same, maybe even a little lower condition. Man, Grateful Dead records, they're played, they're loved, right? And that's, hey, what are you going to do? But I'm going to keep it because sometimes I get a customer that just makes me an offer I can't refuse. And that, if I post this, it's usually a big draw quick, right? If I posted it now, probably within 5 minutes, I'm going to get Grateful Dead fans and I don't even know if I would say they're hardcore Deadheads, but Grateful Dead fans that are saying I want to buy it. So this is, I'm going to hold on to for now, as will I hold on to this. This is probably a VG minus or good plus version of American Beauty. I love this album. This is a great album. I have multiple copies of it already. I ended out, since I'm keeping this copy, putting I think my fair plus or good minus, or yeah, it's probably fair to fair plus copy of it in inventory. So that's not going to last long. But again, American Beauty, it's staying with me. The next is a different pressing than what I had of The Who. Who's Next? Just because this is a clean copy. I suspect this is a later printing, but again, it's a great copy. I already have 1 or 2 copies of Who's Next, but it's a different pressing. You know, I have problems, people, but I'm going to keep it. Who's Next? The last two, and after I'm done making this video, I'm going to text, of course, my subject matter experts, Jackie Schultz. My bad. Jackie Schultz. Brown was her maiden name, and of course her husband Bill Schultz, my good friends. They are my subject matter experts for the Rolling Stones. This is the Rolling Stones' greatest hits. This is from what company is this? TV Records. I would have to say the fidelity on this is probably not going to be the best, but I don't have this copy. I don't have this record yet, so I'm adding it again. It probably has all songs that I already had, including Jumping Jack Flash, but I'm keeping it. The Rolling Stones' greatest hits. And last but not least, the stereo copy printed by London Records, England's newest hitmakers, the Rolling Stones. This album goes way back. This one's in stereo. and it is in pretty darn nice condition. I would say this is in a VG condition. London Records. For me, these are the two records of this collection, so I can't wait to listen to these. By the way, my friend Jackie and Bill Schultz, along with Ernie, they're gonna come and party with me again this summer, and maybe I'm gonna record an episode with them, and we're gonna talk both comic books and records, because Bill and Ernie both love music like me, and they also collect records. So just imagine that. How great is it to have friends since you were 5 years old and high school that both have the same two big hobbies that you do? It's amazing. So maybe you'll get to see them. And of course, Jackie too. She's a massive music fan, always has been, and she loves the Rolling Stones. I think they've been her favorite band since she was a little girl, since we were in grammar school. So on that note, everybody, if you like this content, I would ask you to please hit the subscribe button. And if you like this content and you want to make some comments, you feel free to do so. So I thank you so much for your time, and I will talk to you soon.